everyone to Kentwood Voices. This week I'm speaking with Roy Lopez and Jonathan Lopez of the Glary Ross Group, Sarah Tyler, Dotson Skaggs, Jared Takushi, David Morrison, Karen Landers, and Solvi Lawrence, an icon in Denver real estate. These two are exceedingly respected professionals.
The way I look at it is, it was kind of like in my DNA to become a real estate agent.
In the last 6 months or so, what have you spent some money on that's most impacted your life?
I bought a crock pot.
I think one of the reasons we're such a successful brokerage, even though we're one of the smaller ones, is we do support one another.
Welcome to Kentwood Voices. Today I'm here with Greg Margheim and Kelly Sophinos. They're in the Kentwood Denver Tech Center office, and they're a couple and they're a partnership. So I'm excited to talk to them a little bit about how they approach their business. Greg and Kelly are both from Nebraska originally, although they didn't meet in Nebraska. They met here in Colorado, but both have roots in Nebraska. Greg ended up in Wyoming and then migrated south to Colorado. And after selling a successful business, he got into real estate. And that's where Greg and Kelly met. They met in real estate, and then they fell in love, and then they had already fallen in love with real estate. And then they started their partnership as a team, and they're one of our really successful teams. So I'm looking forward to hearing what they have to tell us today. Welcome, Greg, and welcome, Kelly.
Hello.
Appreciate you having us.
So I'm going to start with Kelly and ask you, what was the genesis of getting into real estate? What interesting kind of tips or stories do you have for why you got into real estate and how you leverage your past growing up or past experiences into your real estate business?
Oh gosh, that's hard. Well, I got into real estate after a successful career in marketing and sales for a publication in the cable TV business. And then I took a few years off and raised my boys and decided it was time to get back to something a little more exciting and something for me. So real estate was a good fit. It allowed me to both have a family and a really solid career.
And that was 17 years ago, you said, right?
That was 17 years ago, yes.
Okay, that's good. And then Greg, what about you? You sold a business, you took a couple years off, and then
I sold my business in 2000. Market wasn't a good market for business out there after that. I looked around, and then I finally had to look in the mirror and say, what don't you want to do? I said, I don't want to get on a plane every day. I don't want to be micromanaged, and I don't want to micromanage anybody else. So I started talking to a few friends in real estate. They kind of said, hey, you've got a great network of people. You've been in town for almost 20 years. You should look into real estate. And then I have a chance to do some things in a mountain community up in Red Feather Lakes area. So I got my license and started from there, and here we are.
So that's an interesting lead into a topic we could talk about. You said you had a great network. And I think of both of you as really strong networkers. I think pretty much your business is built on your sphere of influence and the people you know and keeping in touch with them. How do you go about doing that?
I think we both had kind of our individual spheres when we started and teamed. And over the last 15 years, it's came together. So probably 70% of our business is kind of our team sphere, our personal sphere, but then we both have outside personals from past. So, we just keep working at them and keep it in front of them at all times. And it seems to work. But I think that's the number one thing is you continually have to be letting them know what you're doing, keeping them up to what's going on in the market. And I think you build that expertise to them that you do know what you're doing, and they seem to come back, and we make sure they, whenever they need a handyman or you need a plumber or need an electrician, it seems that we get a phone call, and it seems to be a really good way to keep those tentacles out there and touching them at all times.
I think too, it's been a really nice evolution with our sphere because we've kind of watched them grow up, as we've grown in the industry. So we've done so many deals with friends of ours and then their children and their grandparents. And so it's really been a huge privilege to be so involved in people's buying decisions. And I think home buying is so intimate, and to be able to be part of that has been really a privilege for both of us.
And that what Greg mentioned about having a list of vendors and contractors is huge. I mean, that's just an example of the level of customer service someone as successful or a team as successful as you are. You need to go to that level, that next level of being a resource in their whole life. I've had people call me and ask me for divorce attorneys and therapists.
Yeah, everyone from the hairdresser to the to the divorce attorney for sure.
Yeah, right. And we are really helping them build networks. We're such good real estate brokers are so good at building networks. So, and that's exactly what you just used as an example, and not surprising that your clients keep coming back to you. They're very hungry for data and information and statistics, aren't they? It feels like the consumer wants a lot of pretty pictures, but they also want sort of intelligent information to help make a decision. Do you feel that that's the case, and how do you go about supplying them that?
It's a good question. I think one of the things in today's market is the industry is moving so quickly that if you're not reading and up to date and in it, really doing deals and really understanding it, you just can't be on top of it. So we spend a lot of time showing, we spend a lot of time previewing, looking at new communities. And just getting real hands-on experience in the market.
Yeah, knowing your inventory.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you. You can finish. Go ahead.
No, I think we do a mailing. I mean, we do a notepad mailing twice a year, and at the first of the year, and then probably starting the third quarter, and try to give some type of a 6-month market analysis, and just a nice 1-page type thing that really kind of explains where the market is. And then we constantly, if we see something we think shows and depicts what we want to on social media, we'll share it or send it out on Facebook and the other social media. So we try to do that, and we're getting to do that more and more. I think that's going to continue to be a good thing. I'm not sure, but it's just a matter of trying to make sure. And then when we talk, it's interesting when we go to parties and interact with people. It seems like we always get questions. What do you think about this? What's the market doing? So I think we're capable of answering the questions with expertise when we're asked those questions, and I think that proves quite a bit.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think that's just the message is consistency, knowing people, staying in touch with people, and then consistently showing up. What have you found in the last 5 years or so? Are there any new habits, any new beliefs, any new behaviors that have really improved your life that you would share?
Well, we're coming up on our 5th year of marriage, so we can probably throw that in as number one.
Communication.
It's been all good. Yeah. I think just, we're getting a little bit older, and I think as you age, you just are so much more appreciative of the things around you, of your family, of your friends, and I think waking up with that appreciation starts the day off right. But I also think COVID has given us, so much more of a chance to really kind of get off the wheel, slow down a little bit, and appreciate all those things that we don't have right now and how important they are to us. So.
And we've got 4 children together. They're all completely out of the house now, except for
Henry.
holidays. And then we have Henry, our dog, who's kind of become our new child. But, you know, it kind of, we don't have to do as much for them. We have grandchildren now that we're able to spoil and send them home. So it's kind of reaching a point in our lives where it's really what we're doing is for ourselves. And I think we're starting to appreciate that and kind of understanding how to work hard when you need to work hard, but make sure that when you have a chance to go out and enjoy.
Yeah, I love that message. So really, it's slowing down a little and being grateful that you can.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So have you had a purchase in the last 6 months or so of $500 or less that really impacted you?
Well, I think there's 3 things that have impacted us, and 2 of them aren't under $500. But one of the things we did a couple of years ago was we downsized. And that really made such a difference in our lives because we were able to kind of get rid of the things that, you know, we didn't need, didn't use, weren't important, and just simplify. And we moved a lot closer to the office, which gave us more time from being on the road. And so I think first and foremost, like downsizing has made a difference. Again, not under 500, but and then the second thing is our dog, right? We bought this beautiful dog and he's just become ridiculously, you know,
Spoiled.
but he's part of us now. And so that's brought a lot of fun and energy. And then I guess under 500 would be, I think it's our iPads and technology. I mean, we're always connected. We're, you know, this 2 days ago, we saw a property and it was, you know, there were a million people looking at it and we were in the car writing the offer, you know, and just things like that simplify where you have to be and what you're doing each day.
Mm-hmm. And Greg, anything else to add to that?
No, I'm not sure I've been able to spend less than $500 or anything. I guess I did buy a nice 2 pair of pants, honey pants, for a present trip I went on a couple of weeks ago. Other than that, it's just like Kelly said, we're just kind of grateful for what we have and
Mm-hmm.
happy to be able to have 500 when we need it.
Yeah, I think there's some real truth to that. And but the message about the iPad, it sounds like, is get the one that has the phone number attached to it so you can use the 4G or the 5G. Because if you only have Wi-Fi, then you can't. You'd have to, I guess you could pair it with your phone, right? But it would be more difficult to write an offer in the car if you didn't have the one that had the
No,
cell.
we're always connected.
Yeah.
So it's $500 plus that monthly selfie.
That's right. And that's 500 each.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. So after we talked about your $500, let's talk about something that keeps you motivated and grounded. It sounds like you're not into a lot of things. You're more into family, your dog, Henry, your kids, your grandkids, your lifestyle of kind of smaller and more taking care of one another and being grateful. What kind of quote or saying that motivates you? Do you have anything like that you listen to or think of?
You know, I guess I grew up on a farm, so you always had something to do, and you kind of, my family instilled in me a work ethic. I think that if you want something, you got to set a goal and you got to work hard. And if it isn't worth working hard for, it probably isn't worth even wanting or having. So I think that's just kind of what I do is I look at things and say, hey, if I want to get there, then I'll figure out what you need to do to get there and then go for it and don't look back and go get it done.
That's good. So that's your own internal motivator. It's not like there's some saying, you're just like, I believe in a work ethic that gets me where I need to be in life.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That's good. That's like good Midwestern roots that you have, Greg.
That's right. That's right.
So let me ask you this question then, since we were talking about in you're focusing on your work and what brings you kind of joy in your work is the connecting with the people and your clients. When you're out there working with clients, do you ever hear any bad advice given? What kind of bad advice in our industry would you like to tell people not to listen to?
I think the bad advice is to not work with an agent. I think to not have representation, to not have someone in your corner helping you through the process. It's, I always equate it to, going to the doctor and needing surgery and asking the receptionist to do it. It's just, you really need, you need that professionalism. You need that person looking out for you, and you don't know how much you need it until you're in the middle of it. By the time you figured out how valuable your agent is, you've already crossed the point of no return, really.
Mm-hmm. And Greg?
Well, I guess one of the sayings I've always felt too, to go back to that is, you get what you pay for. And I think we're constantly challenged and battling the new upstart real estate type of firms that feel that we make too much money, which I'm not sure why you get into a business not to make as much money as you work for. So I think, again, as Kelly said, the advice that you don't need a good agent, especially in this market, is I'm not sure who they're trying to fool, but I think once we get done and usually get done with the transaction, I'm almost positive 100% of the time our clients are going to say it was worth their time and effort to work with a good agent. And the next time they know they'll keep our number and call us again. But discount agencies come and go, and we're going to keep seeing them. But I think we just we don't ignore them, but we have to just constantly understand the market better than them to be able to talk to and people who we probably don't need that client if they really think that discount agency is where they should go so they can save some money, because they really won't.
Well, and they might not because they don't have someone advising them as carefully and conscientiously, but there's different models, just like there's different methods of shopping. You can shop online at Amazon or go to Target or go to Neiman's and Nordstrom.
Right.
And you definitely have a difference in quality. So I guess it's good for the consumer that they have choice, but I think you're absolutely right that the consumers that choose full representation definitely get great representation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
At least from Kentwood Brokers, right?
That's right.
They better.
So what have you become better at saying no to recently? Distractions, invitations, I'm finding myself doom scrolling constantly. I've got to get off that. I've got to learn to say no to that. I'm like constantly looking at the news feed. But what are you better at saying no to?
I think I've gotten better at saying no to people who drain my energy, like things that are negative, or people who just are too much work. Someone told me a long time ago, it's okay to weed your garden every now and then, and I took that to heart. And it's nice to kind of pluck some things out that are just don't feed your soul.
Yeah, that's a good one. Greg?
I think same thing. I've gotten better that I think trying to understand that we're probably in the most reactionary part of the business in a time frame that either one of us has been in. And you almost have to react. Phone, you got a new house comes on the market, you call your client, you see it at 8 o'clock, you call them at 8:15, you send them down the MLS, and you're usually in there in the afternoon, and you're competing against 40 other people. So you still have to react in that way, but I think I've gotten better and maybe trying to understand just what that reaction should be and how fast it really has to be. And again, sometimes I find that if you really kind of think about it a little bit, you don't have to react as fast. And then when you do react, you're in a better position to react. So just kind of, again, just try to make sure that you don't let the market really overrun you in some ways, but you really make sure you understand what you're doing before you go do it.
That's where we balance each other. Because he'll slow it down and I tend to speed it up. And so it's a good mix.
Mm-hmm. It's so hard. I mean, this is a really fraught market right now for buyers who are making multiple offers, and they're so disappointed when they don't get it. And then sometimes they turn their ire on you, the broker, even though it's not your fault. They feel like maybe you did something or you could have done something different. So this is tough. This is tough times. And you're right, you do have to react so quickly. So what do you do to calm yourself? How do you center yourself? Are you yogis? Do you listen to meditation? How do you bring yourself back down when you're in such a really kind of accelerated type of market?
Right. That's your workout.
Yeah, you know, I've always been a workout. I've always worked out every day. Seems like for the most of my life. The last few months have been a little different when the gym's closed and you have to start trying to figure out how to get that workout in. But I always found that if I'm really have something I really have to think about, and it's bugging me, or it has me stopped, I first of all kind of sit back and say, okay, what is really the problem, and think about it and say, how long is it really? If you do the 4 things it takes to get it done, and how long is it going to take you? And usually you figure out that what you're worried about, if you just go do it, it's going to take you about 30-40 minutes to get done. And then if not, if you're really thinking I'm meant to go out for a run or a good walk or a good workout, just kind of takes your mind off of it and gets your body back in. And it seems like when you come back out of that, you're ready to charge again. So that's my more physical activity, or just maybe just trying to say, hey, what really is the problem here? Because that problem may not be as bad as somebody just told you it was, or you thought it was, until you really said, okay, what is that problem? Let's dissect it and figure it out.
And Kelly, how do you ground yourself or bring yourself back to center?
He's got me working out, which helps, but I tend to center quietly. Like I need to kind of have a clean slate, make my list. I'm very list oriented, and I really like to just sit in a quiet place and focus and get my list done, and then just work through it. I just, it's just little steps, and there's nothing better than checking each one of them off every day. So that's really how I operate, very quietly.
You are a good balance for each other in so many ways. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'll let you sum it up if you have anything you want to add. But do you have any podcasts, any books, any TV shows, anything that you've been watching, reading, listening to that you would like to share with us?
Yeah. Well, we're doing a couple things this year. So we're actually trying to get through the Bible. There's 66 books, and we decided we didn't want to get to the end of our lives and not have read the map, right? The road map. So we're working through that. And that's been fun and interesting. And then I just started, my son had told me to read Green Book. Have you heard about that? Or Green Light? I'm sorry, Green Light. It's Matthew McConaughey's musings. And so that's been fun because it kind of talks about how in life we all like a green light. We all like to just sail through and have things run smoothly. And then he kind of goes through how we react with a yellow light or with a red being stopped, and how it disrupts our I guess, journey. So that's been really kind of fun. And then as far as we're not real binge watchers, but we really have gotten into Kevin Costner's
Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm. That's been fun to kind of watch, and so that's our thing.
Someone else told me about Greenlight recently and was raving about it.
It's good. Yeah, it's been really good. I've been enjoying it.
Okay, that's good. So I have a question about your Bible reading. Are you doing kind of a Bible study together? Are you reading certain sections together and then having discussions about it? Or are you just saying, we're going to read, this is our goal, we're going to read the whole thing?
Well, I think what you realize is it's a hard book to just, it's not like you sit down and read it. So we've got a wonderful friend who's also our pastor for the last few years. He married us, and he's a great teacher. So, you know, we've spent obviously a lot of time with him, and every Sunday he does his teachings, and it's really, really good. And what you realize when you get into it, it's not so intimidating, and it's much more, you know, stories and you know, words that you've heard all your life. You just, you know, it all kind of comes together. So that's kind of what we're doing. That
sounds like a really good thing to do in 2021, coming off of 2020. Seems like it seems like a nice way to start and work through a year that's really a rebuilding year in so many respects in our lives. So
absolutely.
I love
it goes back to that being grateful for what you have and what you don't have too. Yeah.
I mean,
well, so speaking, oh, Kelly, go.
I was just gonna say, we both came from, you know, pretty modest backgrounds and you know, hardworking, but we weren't privileged. We didn't get a lot. We had to work for everything we had, and I think that, you know, you get a little bit older and you look back and you can appreciate all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is, speaking of being grateful, I'm super grateful to have the two of you as a part of our Kentwood team and our Kentwood family. You're really vital to, you know, the relationships that we have as a brokerage. I count the two of you as really key people in our group. So thank you for everything you bring to your business every day, to our company every day, and to your clients every day. Is there anything you want to say and sum it up before we say goodbye to everybody?
No, I think we're just, I think this is going to be a very challenging year, although last year was challenging as well, but I think we're going to see many, many new challenges this year. So I think we're just going to, again, patience is going to be a virtue. Just keep your nose to the grindstone, and we'll get there.
And I think too, we love Kentwood, and it's, you know, it's become part of us, and certainly is very much a family of incredible agents, and we're just happy to be there as well.
Well, thank you. So everybody prepare, buckle up for 2021, because Greg is going to be ready to figure out how to get us through it, and so is Kelly. If you need a broker, look no further than Greg Margheim and Kelly Sophinos at Kentwood Denver Tech Center. And thank you for watching. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, Gretchen.